Join me as a tax attorney while I sit at my desk and answer questions and comments about the tax strike. So I made a few videos, got lots of comments. I understand the American taxpayers are frustrated. I know, I'm also a frustrated American taxpayer. However, my job as a tax attorney is to inform you about our taxation system and how it currently works and why some of the things that people are saying aren't true or don't work, or I wouldn't recommend, because all you're really going to do is maybe harm yourself. So, because that's what I do. I defend taxpayers every day, hardworking Americans. That's my job, is defending them against our federal government. So I think I know a thing or two. However, why, even if you went exempt, have you not been accused of a felony? Well, there are certain types of enforcement. There's civil enforcement and there's criminal enforcement. And for a lot of the laws or tax laws that people break, the government can do civil enforcement or criminal enforcement. They reserve criminal enforcement for more egregious acts. I have seen a case lately with the Department of Justice where a high mid-earning W-2 employee went exempt on all of his returns, and the Department of Justice did prosecute him. And that was to use him as an example. The government likes to use criminal enforcement for examples. They reserve those for high notoriety people like celebrities, right? Who I defend. Unfortunately, they get the brunt of criminal enforcement before civil enforcement because the government doesn't have enough resources to do criminal enforcement on everyone. So they primarily use civil enforcement techniques on a majority of people and reserve the criminal enforcement for either really, really super egregious acts or somebody that has fame, notoriety that they can make an example of, because they only got to put one famous person in jail for everyone to get in line, right? And so that's probably why you haven't been accused of a felony, is because if you don't meet that criteria, then it's not really beneficial for the government to charge you with, a felony or even a misdemeanor. What they can do, right, is if you go exempt, they'll use their civil enforcement techniques. And the civil enforcement techniques are actually work really well. So what people don't realize is if you go exempt and you keep working at the same job and you don't file and they create returns for you called SFRs, and you keep owing taxes based off estimated returns that the government did for you because you keep going exempt, the government can actually issue what's called a lock-in letter, where they lock in your withholdings. They send a letter to your employer and say this person no longer legally has the right to change their withholdings and have them withhold single at the highest rate, right, filing status, to have the most taxes withheld. And you're not going to be able to change it. You have to actually get the government's permission to change by proving what your correct withholdings should be, or have 3 consecutive years where you're filing and paying, and then you can be released from the program. So that's more effective. Again, they can do that with computers, automation, and data they already have. And so civil enforcement techniques are more effective on larger groups of people. They reserve the criminal for egregious people of notoriety and fame. And that's the answer.